Welcome to Courageous Creative Conquerors. I'm your host, Jean Voice Dart, expressive arts psychotherapist, credentialed teacher, and coach. It's my belief that we are all courageously creative and destined to navigate our way through life, learning how to feel, reveal, and heal. And we do this safely and effectively through the expressive arts. Hi everyone, I'm Jean Voice Dart, the host of Courageous Creative Conquerors, and my special guest today is Katie Bruzzone. She's a leadership coach. I'm delighted to have you here, and an artist, and she's got a lot to tell us about expressive arts and creativity. Hi, Katie.
Hi, Jean. It's so nice to be with you today, and it's so nice to be with all of you who are watching.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and let's get started with some questions about the creative arts and why they're important to you. So I've got this sign behind me about Courageous Creative Conquerors. Could you tell me what it means to you to be courageously creative?
Oh, I think I live my life absolutely in alignment with every single step, walking right in to the face of a wound. And when you think about a wound, right, it's the same word, same spelling as wound. And so every wound that I have had, every pain that I've experienced in my life, I step into and I unwind it with creativity. And so to me, I think that's what being courageously creative is trusting our pain, trusting our wounds as a sacred playground for us to develop our skill set and our superpowers, and a way to water the sacred seeds in the soil of our soul. And without having the courage to face those wounds and to face that pain, we're missing out on so much energy that we have the ability to free through our seat of unconditional love.
I love that image of unwinding. That's
Mm,
beautiful, and the wound. And my philosophy is that we have to feel and
hmm
reveal in order to heal. We have to feel all that. And tell us what you do in your sessions, or your creative
mm.
sessions, and how you work with creative arts.
So my sessions really all come down to unleashing infinite potential. And that to me is all about IP and creating a language that helps people walk into their inner landscape, walk into these lands of loss, and unwind part of the wound and start to step in and understand how to feel, how to build capacity in those moments where at the time we had to disconnect from love in order to survive. And so whether it's through somatic processing, whether it's through creating mind maps or through talking or any sort of things, going on a walk in a forest, we're able to meet their body, meet your soul, meet your heart, meet your mind where it needs mending. And so for every person that's different, right? Because everybody has different seeds that are planted inside and different things that we have to weed out. And so I do a lot of listening and help meet them in their language and then facilitate through a whole language I've created with my inner child, um, how to walk out of some of those pains and those wounds.
Were you always involved with the arts, with the creative? In what way?
Oh, yeah,
Library,
always.
dance, music, art, drama.
I wasn't involved in drama, and but I have been dancing and moving. I was a three-sport athlete my whole life. And then growing up, my grandma and my mom, I had every single art supplies in front of me. And so I would go to my brother's basketball games and football games, and I'd bring all my art supplies, and I'd be drawing and I'd be writing. I'd be in the backyard just like studying trees and writing about the soul. And so I had at my disposal everything that I could create with my whole life. And then on top of that, like I said, I was a three-sport athlete and I grew up watching athletics. And so to me, sports are an art, and they absolutely are. There are eight expressions
Yes.
of creative intelligence, and one of those is bodily kinesthetic. And so my whole life, I have been plugged in to these 8/9 expressions of creative intelligence. which also weaves back to, you asked me what I do in sessions, and a lot has to do with helping people figure out which of these expressions of creative intelligence they resonate most deeply with, and which of these expressions God, source, is speaking to them through. And I had the absolute privilege of being tapped into all of those things, which honestly saved my life because there was a lot of pain and a lot of darkness in my life.
How important is spirituality in this whole process in your life?
It's everything. I couldn't, to me, spirituality is how we make meaning. It's the context, it's the frame, it's how we learn to listen to the wind. It tells us exactly where there's energy wound. And so having the courage to sit in silence, having the courage to talk to God, to talk to spirit, whatever it is for you, allows you and gives you the ability to trust every step you take. Because when we have those wounds, right, and we get disconnected from love, what happens is we lose trust in life. When we lose trust in life, we get into dis-ease. We start to feel restless, and we always need a way to make meaning of these experiences. And so spirituality is how we do it.
In your chapter in the book, it's really centered around animals, and I love
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
I notice in your room up there on the shelf, you have a lot of stuffed animals all over the place. Tell
Yeah.
us why animals are important to you and a part
Oh,
of your creative expression and imagination and journey. Yeah.
yeah. So my mission is to develop the young at heart. And those two things, if we think about Carl Jung, right? He's the king of the subconscious. And our subconscious and spirit, back to your last question, speak to us through symbols. They speak to us through animals. And animals carry an energy, a frequency, a lesson, a wisdom in them. And this is something that the inner child knows too. It's why we're obsessed as kids with animals and nature, because we're picking up and tuning into the sounds of unconditional love. And so, because a lot of our wounds and our pain are from childhood, when we can use animals, I put out a bunch of animals in front of my clients, and I'll raise questions. So, can you pick an animal that represents a challenge you're going through, or pick an animal that represents your mom or your dad, or pick an animal that represents what your life was like before X happened. And so what this does is it gets people out of their head and into their heart, because you can't prepare for that. What you
Yes.
can do is listen. What you can do is trust. What you can do is really start to unwind and start to draw these connections and make meaning out of these things that you might have had trouble processing. And that, I believe, goes back to too, like, to creativity, right? When we can externalize that which we can't understand inside, the world starts to shift and we start to experience magic and so much more flow. So that's why I like to use
Yes.
animals.
Yes, and I think in my work as well, there's no book with a big list of animals and what they mean and what they don't
Mm.
mean. It's letting people share what it means to them. Maybe had an
Yeah,
experience with it that's just very personal and special, and they
totally.
thought of that animal that way or something. Yeah,
Hmm.
and so that's just so beautiful that you invite people to just take that quiet time, reflect on the symbology of that, and discover what that is for them.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, right? Because every word, every animal, every element has an association and relationships to it within us. And it invites 90, we can't see 95% of the world. It's crazy to me. I mean, this fact always blows my mind, because if we can only see 5% of the world, think about how much power and beauty there is in this dark energy that we can't see. And we've been programmed to think that darkness is bad, darkness is scary, when actually our subconscious and this dark energy is magical. And so I love walking clients and myself into that every day, to realize you got a light inside and it's going to speak to you, and the different associations and relationships that come up for you around this animal, around this element, around this weather pattern, around this landscape
Yes.
is exactly your IP, is exactly your infinite potential. It's calling to you and it's helping you step forward. And so, yeah, I just think it's fun. It's really fun to be creative with clients and getting them out of here and down to here because so much happens in such a short such a short amount. So much can happen between your head and your heart.
And what would be your advice if you could just give one point of advice to
Mm.
people out there listening and thinking, this sounds really interesting. I'd like to find out more about how this can help me. What would be the advice you would give?
I would say to go outside, wherever, whatever calls to you, whether it's a river or a beach or a mountain or a flower or a tree, find something that calls to you that you can access every day and go to it for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, however much time you have, and just leave everything else. Leave it all behind and call in God, guidance on demand, guidance on discernment, guidance on development, guidance on what to do, and just sit and just sit and just sit and allow your station, your sacred station of love to just start to tune itself to the flow of nature. And it might be hard at first, but the more you can get yourself into this wave of peace and into that place of peace, the more everything else will flow and come naturally. Because, I mean, I wrote it in my chapter, God doesn't always speak swiftly, but God shows up. God within you will always show up. And I think being in nature and opening yourself to the magic and majesty of nature is always the first place to start.
It's so beautiful. You're just such a precious soul, and I love your outlook on life and
Mm.
that
Oh,
deep spiritual connection you have.
the other thing I would say is write.
Yeah.
Write. Start a journal like today. Anybody, start a journal and just start writing. Even if you write, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. The more you can cleanse the distance between your heart and your hand, because our hands are an extension of our heart, the more you can get out of a spiral and a loop that's stuck in your head. It's beautiful to be able to start going linearly. So I would say nature and writing.
Those are two good ways to be connected. Yeah, very, very good. Well, it's just been a delight to be here with you. And if you could share how people could contact you if they're interested, what
Yeah.
your website is. Your website is so much fun. It's just so
Oh,
youthful and fun and playful. I love going there and looking at it. Can you tell us how they would
thank you.
connect?
Yeah, my website is www.katiebruzzone.com.
And you're in our book, Expressive
I am.
The Ultimate
Chapter
Creative Guide
21,
to Transforming Stress. And what's the name of your chapter?
turning wounds into wisdom.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. It's been a delight having you. And
Yeah.
thank you, all of you, for listening. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye.